It's the weekly wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. No worries. Next week, HVAC Talk, the podcast that Chris and Tim do, will return at its regularly scheduled time. Meantime, Chris, the big question is, where were you when the White House Correspondents' Dinner erupted in chaos? I'm thinking that you were at, let's see, there were 2,600 people there, and so I think that makes. Let me do some ciphering like Jethro Bodine. That's 260 tables. I'm thinking that you're at table number 261. Am I right about that?
Is that the one that's out in the hallway?
It's the one where you get the closest shot of the would-be assassin, I guess.
What would you think Tim's background would be? I'm guessing it would be the correspondence dinner of the guy eating the salad as it's all going down.
Either that or somebody stealing a bottle of wine, which yes. I don't think they made a big deal out of that. First of all, it was $350 a person for this dinner. I think you get to come away with the bottle of wine that you didn't get to drink. You would have gotten the drink anyway. So,
and you have to pay for the wine, additional wine. I think you get each table gets a couple bottles, but then you pay for additional.
Was this like a cash bar situation? Or something?
I heard I actually heard on I believe it was on, someone was talking about it, and they said that they had just ordered and they just received. There's a thing on the table like a Chili's now where you order from the table and they kind of take the sugar out of it, and
right. It's computerized, so you don't even have a waiter coming by.
They just drop it off. So they got their 4 bottles, and they said they took their 4 bottles with them because they had paid for them.
Absolutely. So there was the one guy, and he still hasn't been identified, has he? That was just sitting there throughout the whole thing, or maybe he said he was from New York and he hears these kinds of noises all the time.
He has been identified. He's an agent to many newscasters, like Anderson Cooper's agent. They call him
okay.
Broadcaster super agent.
Yeah, they're used to dealing with garbage.
And he said he's got a bad back, so he couldn't get on the ground. So what was he going to do?
Yeah. Now then, there's this billionaire, being as heroic as one of the Guggenheims on the Titanic. Lloyd Blankfein, I think is his name. He's a billionaire who. Correct me if I'm wrong. He threw himself onto a female guest, as opposed to Pete Hegseth, who hid behind his pregnant wife. Right? Am I right about that?
I thought it was Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller. Excuse me. No. Pete Hegseth's wife was wearing a $42 dress, which looked fine to me. Okay, so they made a big deal about that. But you know what this dinner was actually missing was Joan Rivers on the red carpet, red with blood. But Lloyd Blankfein threw himself onto a female guest, and is he the guy who, when they're under the table, he says, "Are you going to eat that salad?" which that's having the presence of mind to come up with the line, right? I thought it was good.
It was solid.
So here's where I was. Okay, and first of all, I'm quite envious of all those White House correspondents who get to say they were there. But I kid you not, I was at a local theater production. All right, and during intermission, my wife saw the story on her phone of the attempted assassination, and I didn't have the presence of mind to say, "But how are you liking the play, Mrs. Lincoln?" I didn't say it. And I'm never going to get another chance. Although, given what's gone on with Trump, I mean, this was the 3rd attempt now. So, but yeah, everybody, like my dear friend on Twitter, Arthur Herman, author of some great articles in Commentary Magazine, he said it's getting as crowded as the foredeck of the Mayflower. Actually, if those of us who weren't there should be interviewed by future historians. Yeah, it's like Gabby Hartnett's Homer and the Gloman. Everybody says they were at that one.
Can I ask really quick? You were at like a community theater, like the Winnetka City Players production?
It was of that order. A really good community theater, though. I mean, and my daughter was in the play, and it was good. And they even had something like the week before there were tornado warnings in the area, and they had to go into the basement with the crowd, not perform at that
What
point.
was the production? Was it a classic or was it a new piece?
It's a classic. It's a classic. But anyway, it was good. It was a great production. But you see this, and oh, it's here we go again. The usual suspects will come out. President Obama wondering what the motive could have possibly been. Right?
I mean, I went through that whole manifesto and I could not figure out what the motive was. It was
There you go. There you go. I mean, it does it's well, yeah. Well, of course, Nora O'Donnell, right on the next day, asks Trump a question based on the manifesto if he's a pedophile, which is
that's the old was it the Lyndon B. Johnson ask him if you how do you defend yourself when you say you don't hit your wife or whatever that
yeah. If you stop beating your wife,
yeah,
it's the
when you stop
question.
beating your wife, yeah.
No, I mean it's a classic unfair journalist's question, but and that brings us, of course, to Jimmy Kimmel, who somehow gets involved in this for a joke he made before the dinner, saying that Melania was an expectant widow, which there's a Venn diagram, and I'm the only member of the Venn diagram. Somebody who thanks God for Donald Trump, hates Jimmy Kimmel, but thought the joke was it was okay. But now they're saying that he has to be fired, and there's a FCC investigation being threatened again. I mean, when's Kimmel's contract up anyway? Isn't it
next year?
Okay,
this time next year.
I mean, I didn't think that. First of all, the joke wasn't necessarily that he'd be assassinated. It was just that he's an old guy and that he would die. I don't think when he told that joke, there was any connotation that he should be shot, even though he'd already been shot at twice. But it's hard to put yourself in the shoes of the audience, as slim as it is, for, when he told that joke. I mean, concur? Are you angry about it?
Multiple, I'm not angry. I think comedy should have no boundaries, but I mean, my man's had multiple assassination attempts. You could take it either way. I saw Adam Carolla came out and defended him and said it was obviously an age joke. I don't know if it was that obvious, but still, it's just a joke.
And Adam, he was his partner on the Great Man Show. Okay, we need more trampolines,
more juggies, yes.
But he's, in recent years, I mean, Carolla is a conservative and probably anti-Jimmy, but yeah, that wasn't the fight to pick. But I was just reading, one of the correspondents was saying when if you're on a long flight with Trump, like going overseas, that's got to be the worst thing, because you're trying to get some sleep and he never sleeps. He starts making calls. He's talking to people all the time. I mean, did you just think of what he's, the guy was just shot at. He's a different breed. I don't know if it's courage or whatever, but he's a different breed. This guy was shot at, and I think he was talking to like Jonathan Carl, called him up on the phone.
Asked him if he was okay.
He asked Jonathan Carl if he was okay.
Asked him if he was okay.
Right. And and I'm surprised he didn't weigh in on,
And Carl's has been nasty over the years, but do you think, like, when they're on the phone or in person, that he just kind of puffs him up, and that's how he gets the inside baseball?
Everything I've heard about Trump is that in person, it's different. It's a different experience. He's very personable, and a several time guest on this show, Dobie Maxwell, comedian, has told the story several times about the time when he was a stand-up comedian and Trump was in the audience and Trump was heckling him. But then later on, when they're standing at the urinal or whatever, they just, Trump says, "Yeah, you're funny," and everything. It was okay. So, I mean, that's the way that works with him.
That's what Bill Maher said, right? Bill Maher publicly, he sits down for dinner with him. He goes, "It was was a great dinner and good conversation.
Right. I totally get it. Look, and I even understand people who, say, oh, okay, he's personable, but then he comes up with this rhetoric that they can't stand. Because I do the same thing with people on the left who can be personable, charming, and but then they're absolutely outrageous. So I understand it, but it's kind of a double standard because I think Roseanne. Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap, and did want to mention, because we just to wrap up the talk on all these late night hosts. Somebody was saying it was in a Variety tweet about Colbert. I mean, they're still talking about the end of Colbert, and it's just flailing at the end here. But somebody was saying Stephen Colbert says after an uneven first couple of months on The Late Show, his producer encouraged him to lean back into his political roots. Okay, and look, I thought at the time, I thought it was a business decision because he was bound to become like the next Pat Sajak. I don't know if you remember, Pat Sajak actually hosted a CBS late night show against Johnny Carson. It didn't last that long. He kept his day job.
And do you remember who? And when it went nowhere, do you remember who filled in for him?
Was that Arsenio?
No, it was Stephen Gary.
Oh, yes. I absolutely remember Stephen Gary doing the show. And I remember them doing, I think they did a weather map, which had all kinds of phallic symbols on it or something, if I recall that. But that's right. They filled in for him. So that's how close to, and of course, you have Brandmeier. If he had played his cards right, he could have replaced like Joan Rivers on the Fox show.
Yeah,
I mean, he did substitute for her, and he did a good job. I'm telling you, a lot of it is timing and just and then not overplaying your hand, and but very few of us wind up on top throughout their entire lifespan. But I'm one of them. Although I do take a backseat to HVAC talk, which will be back next week. Anyway, Colbert was going to become the next Sajak. And see, because it's axiomatic now to say go woke, you go broke. But I think it's actually sometimes can be the opposite. They were going broke, so that's why they went woke. That's why ESPN went that way too. Although then they reversed their field apparently in recent years. But they do it. It's kind of an economic decision to do that. But sometimes it's really dumb, like Bud Light. So.
But the highest rated of the late night shows is the least political one. It is the most boring because there is no. I can't stand Jimmy Fallon, but he's got the highest rated show.
I actually like some of his clips. I don't watch the show.
Well, they engineer these shows now to be
just clips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he occasionally he's there like dancing with some guy, and you know, it's great when the show host can show that he minored in something else, like he could dance a little bit. And he's not the greatest dancer in the world, but he, or you know, or they have some song that some parody, but yeah, it's a clip. You know, I don't really watch. I don't watch any. Do you watch any of those shows now?
No, not at all.
Yeah, not at all. All right. So, um, oh, we should touch on this. I mean, the indictment of Comey, 8647. it's it's kind of a reach, right?
Um, well,
I mean,
did you hear how they try to tie it together?
I mean, Comey sees this. Supposedly, he didn't
Jeez.
arrange the
Sure.
seashells or by the seashore, but he took a photograph of it and said 8647, which could be interpreted to mean that you want to see the 47th president killed, or it could be interpreted that you want him to become an agent in control with Maxwell Smart. But whatever it was, he deleted it when he saw that it was being used for other purposes. It's really kind of a stretch to go after him
Well,
on that. I mean, it's not a kind of a stretch. It's an awful stretch.
well, isn't the goal just to make him have to lawyer up and spend a ton of money?
Well, that's bad faith.
But that's what
And
they did to so many Trump officials, and it's like,
I know,
what?
you know,
These guys went broke, and
right. It's who was that secretary? Was it? I want to say Ray Donovan. It's another Donovan, I guess. He said, "Yeah, how do I get my reputation back?" I mean, yeah, oh yeah, they make you lawyer up. All I can say is, as a sage, me once said or said many times, two wrongs don't make a reverend right, and they shouldn't really do that. But so moving at the Voting Rights Act, but you're privileged because there's not many people who get to do any of these podcasts with an actual lawyer and to talk about the Voting Rights Act. I mean, Rogan isn't a lawyer.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
he's the number. I mean, he's barely intelligible. So
So,
I mean,
so
but
counselor, your thoughts?
but I am an attorney. Now, having said that, I don't know. You think I mean, Ketanji. I'd have a hard time probably actually debating Ketanji Jackson in law school. I mean, as dumb as she is, because I'm not smarter. You know, I'm the Nate Bargatze of attorneys. So, but but yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty simple. The Voting Rights Act, I believe, or the Constitution, or both, say that you shouldn't discriminate on the basis of race, and all these gerrymandered districts were discriminating on the basis of race. So it was kind of a looking glass, through the looking glass proposition, which somebody like Elena Kagan bought, and she was pretty upset. She apparently read her dissent out loud, which is not usually done. They were really upset about this. So it must have been a good
So,
decision.
so isn't this the microcosm of how people kind of break down um, um, how it's always the white women that speak up for the minorities, since you have two other minority women on the on the bench, and it's the white.
There you go. That is illustrative, symbolic of the whole thing. Um, and I mean, there was a decision recently where even I think it was a free speech one, where Kagan was just rolling her eyes at Ketanji Jackson, but
But I mean,
this time she's the spokesbeing for the other minorities.
there
You're right.
there, there was it seemed like someone shot it down, or someone has made it go away. But someone used to be pulling like the clips of some of the stupidest things she would say. For a while, it was like it was prevalent, but now it's like unless she's not talking as much. But the stuff she was saying, especially when she first got on, it was
You mean
like,
Kagan
yeah,
or
no,
Jackson?
no, no, Brown Jackson.
Brown Jackson.
She was saying some of the most idiotic things that had
Yeah, right.
not
No, it was
related to law at
gobbledygook.
all. Yeah,
Yeah, it was it was on a par with our DEI vice president who ran for president. So yeah, that's, and it's interesting because, I mean, what happened as a result of all this is that in this affirmative action, which Sandra Day O'Connor said we need for 20 more years, and then 20 years went by and we got rid of it in the colleges, and we got Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, ousted to merely a $900,000 a year job on the faculty at Harvard. These are the kinds of things that we're finally setting things right. A little too late for me, of course, in my career, having been discriminated against, being considered white when in fact I'm Jewish, and Jew is now white, or has been for like the last 34 years, and is something to be vilified. But we haven't gotten to Iran yet. It's kind of quiet about Iran, isn't it? It's kind of just like chugging along. I mean, what's happening is I mean, gas prices are up, so that might be a basis for voting this November. But other than that, it's kind of receded, not to Savannah Guthrie's mother level the back pages, but
when's the last time Harvey Levin got a note from the?
So I mean, it's possible that, but anyway, it was a great. It's a great decision. It was a great day for the court, and like I was saying, but hinting at before, I mean, now that you've got, and I got part of this from the Commentary Magazine podcast, you've got blacks and whites will be in the same district, and you will have candidates who will have to appeal maybe on the basis of issues and not necessarily on the color of your skin.
But isn't it up to the state then to do when they do these redistricting? There's no common sense when it comes to how they make the districts, and they're drawn by the party in power. I mean, some of the districts around Chicago, the links they do to make a Hispanic district, especially, they'll go through and first of all, as you probably know, Puerto Ricans and Mexicans traditionally don't like each other, but to make a Hispanic district, they'll go through
right
the neighborhoods to get that drawn in. And even now back to like for the aldermen in Chicago, they make a Chinatown district, so there's an Asian representative on the Chicago council.
Yeah.
Who's gonna make them redraw these into population-based squares?
It's and I don't know the population will be the only criteria.
Well, when they do the fair ones, that's usually what they try and do it by. They're going to just
no. Theoretically, they have nice, neat geometric shapes, and based on population, that seems, at first blush, to be the best way to do it. But there's some wiggle room, I understand, and I haven't, comprehended the fine print on the whole thing yet. There'll still be ways to do gerrymandering, but not intentionally on the basis of race. So, that's where the rubber meets the road. Bruce Wolf Sands, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf Sands, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. So my dear friend Amy Jacobson had a tweet the other day. It was taking Mayor Johnson to task. She just says, listen to the Chicago's mayor when asked about the Safety Act, which released the man accused of shooting 2 Chicago police officers despite 4 pending felonies. This is Officer Bartholomew, I believe. It was just horrible. And of course, Mayor Johnson I think he said, we need more midnight basketball. No, he blamed an addiction on jails, underfunded schools, illegal guns, insufficient mental health services, and disinvestment. Yeah, those are the ones. I mean, this is, it's just from the playbook. Here, you got to be a little creative, Mr. Mayor. I mean, it's just variations on the midnight basketball. I would use eminent domain and put the depraved on a kind of, he was deprived killer, in the $4 million Lincoln Park home of Bulls ex-coach Billy Donovan and let him be in a nurturing milieu in that lovely Lincoln Park area. Wouldn't the neighborhood embrace that? I mean, after property values dropped to, about 2 million.
Much like Martha's Vineyard embraced the
right. It always happens that way. It always happens. In any event. And then of course, State's Attorney Burke, and you're going to be happy with me. My inclination is to go shock jock and just go Burke because you remember there was a ball player named Tim Belcher, pitched for the White Sox. I think at one point it was a Dodgers pitcher.
Yes, I remember.
Every time I did a highlight from him on Channel 32, I would go Tim Belcher, excuse me. That's what I would do. I was awfully silly, wasn't I?
You have the same sense of humor as Ted Nugent, because whenever he says Barack Obama, he burps his first name as Barack.
I mean, that's Ted Nugent. I didn't realize. I saw a clip because I love Twitter. You see these clips all the time. I didn't realize he was in the Amboy Dukes.
Yes.
Journey to the Center of the Mind.
Yes.
I mean, how old was he? Like 9 when he was doing that?
He was like 17 when he was.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there was a moment with me and Dan Proft interviewing Ted Nugent, and we were thrilled to do it. We were recording the interview, a phoner with him, and it was fun. I mean, it was great and everything like that. But at some point, I swear he said that he was referring to some African American, and he said that the person was out of his cotton picking mind. And Dan and I looked at each other like, oh my God, okay, all right. I think it was deleted. I can't remember, but it's just like, and I know, he meant it innocently, just like Jimmy Kimmel did not think that President Trump should be murdered. So we got to watch ourselves there. Or
that Ilhan Omar thought World War II was World War 11.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that one. I mean, because this is one of those things, how easy I fall for things on the internet. I'm the most naive guy in the world.
Not AI.
But did Ilhan Omar actually say World War 11? Or is that just apocryphal?
This is much like the Trump Very Fine People, where he goes and condemns the racists. Afterwards, she corrects herself after and goes, oh, oops, I mean World War II.
Well, no, that's not good. Very Fine People was not something and you correct me if I'm wrong. It's the same thing
where they take the clip. She says World War 11, then you end the clip.
No, I get it. But Trump, no, because this is much worse if you're representing it right. Because Trump, and I read the piece by Dan McLaughlin in National Review long after this, where he painstakingly goes over the entire weekend, and Trump 4 or 5 times says, the white supremacists are awful. Says it 4 or 5 times. When he refers to very fine people on both sides, he's not talking about the Nazis.
Correct.
Guys like Graham Plattner, for example, with the Nazi tattoo, who was not a Nazi, right? Okay.
Correct.
But what you're telling me is that she says it and then corrects herself. But sorry, it doesn't work.
Well, she's reading it. That's why. And
they're reading it. Nobody reads World War 11.
How about Barack Obama saying Marine Corps?
You know what? Everybody's got something. I remember one time on TV, I said that somebody was comatose, and the news anchorette, Kelly Pai Hong on Channel 5, looks at me and giggles like she can't believe that I blew it, because apparently the word is comatose, and I said comatose. I mean, to me, it's you say potato, I say patos, but whatever. Everybody likes to nail everybody's got something that they're mispronouncing, and probably because they've only seen it in print and don't really know how to pronounce it. But I said Tony Kukoc was Tony Kukoc for about 6 years. Okay, but you can't say World War 11.
Can you say World War II?
That would be fine. I mean, that's okay. Aye. Meantime, while we're on this, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Apparently, those members of the the Arabian tour, the Phil Mickelson one that it's folding right now, the Live tour, LIV.
It's folding.
Oh, it's folding. Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
folding. I'm wondering if the back-to-back Masters wins for Rory McIlroy, who's my favorite golfer, by the way, should have asterisks. By the way, it's asterisks, not asterisk. Okay, asterisks, because a lot of our boys were out fighting World War 54, as Representative Omar might put it, because she said it. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not good. That's somebody that doesn't know much about history. You can't read that and say World War I. Okay, so fine. No, she screwed the pooch on that one big time. As long as your representation is correct. Okay. Let us move on. Michael Jackson. The movie apparently is doing gangbusters. The question remains, did he do it? Was he really guilty? I can't remember right now. He was exonerated in court, but so was OJ. So what do you think?
Well, remember, some people said he was protecting the children, and then he shows up in the Epstein files and apparently was helping children. So, I mean, if there's the people that were close to Macaulay Culkin's, there he goes, a word he can.
There we go. No, Macaulay Culkin says he never did anything to him.
Right. It's Corey Feldman, the same.
But maybe he knew not to go after stars. I don't know. I mean,
it was the lawsuit that was settled. He did pay the family.
Yes, and I mean mega millions.
And I'm sure there was an NDA, and they're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, so in any event, and then of course, I think we were talking before about can you enjoy the work of these kinds of people, persons, and I love Human Nature, that song. I don't like maybe Michael Jackson's Human Nature, but that song was great, and there's a lot of stuff's really good. But I mean, as a threshold test, do you believe that Clinton raped Juanita Broaddrick?
I believe so.
Yeah, me too.
I maybe the telling is a little different, where it turned into wasn't, how do you say, sometimes things start and then they should have ended and this finished, instead of saying it wasn't like he's not like a street rapist, but it was a
no, but it still was. But no yes, means no.
Correct.
And how about Woody Allen? Woody Allen, I was against him before I was for him. I got kind of the John Kerry thing with Woody Allen.
That's just a complete creepy situation. I mean,
but here's the thing. You know what the proof of the pudding for Woody Allen is? He married the girl, and he's been with her for like 25 years.
Right, but it's still creepy. It's her stepdaughter.
Well, I think Kyle Smith said Woody Allen's just a nebbish. I mean, that's what it comes down to. He's anti-Teflon. Everything sticks to him.
What about the Michael Jackson line in the "They Don't Care About Us"? Did you take offense to that?
Oh, I don't remember that. You
don't remember that line? "Sue me, Jew me," where they had to end up go and re-record.
Oh my God. Oh my.
Yes.
I forgot all about that. Oh, and one other thing with the Michael Jackson, and I didn't realize this. There's a Simpsons episode that they will never show again, which has Michael Jackson in it because there was the fear that he was using it to groom these kids.
Why can't they show it if he's dead?
Huh?
Why can't they show it if he's dead?
They stopped you showing it.
Okay, but they show it now. Dead. Oh, they did.
But they still won't. Apparently, they still won't show it. Yeah, very interesting.
I never heard that story.
Yeah, I just read a tweet about it recently. What is this tweet? First of all, what segment are we in right now?
We're still in the C block.
We're still in the C block. Okay. Yeah. I sent you a tweet. Now I'm intrigued because I can't remember what I sent you. It's from this Eli Ong. What is the tweet? Bruce tries to guess his own bits. All right. Hilarious that Logan Jones is receiving a lifetime supply of ketchup for being taken with the number 57 pick by the Bears, only to go to a city in Chicago that's a sworn enemy of the condiment. Yeah, my attitude about it, as long as the guy doesn't act like a hot dog, he's fine. But anyway, we'll get to the NFL draft.
Is this a thing that Heinz does every year?
I had no idea.
Oh.
I have no idea. And if you're going to number 57s, it's not the draft pick. It would be the uniform number 57, which, I'm partial to Tom Thayer, although Olin Kreutz probably is the best number 57 in history. But we got to the sports a little bit early right here.
But how about one quick note on this?
Yeah.
Illinois, the home of Brooks Ketchup. Remember Brooks used to be a big ketchup player. There's the big ketchup bottle down south in Illinois. Remember Brooks?
I didn't even know that existed till you told me just now.
Oh, really? It was like the number 2 ketchup for a long, long time before.
Ahead of Hunt's?
Before Hunt's kind of took him over, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe into the 80s, not early 90s, yeah.
All right, condiment talk. Yeah, it'll come on right after HVAC. Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf sans Tim Slagle. It was a spoonerism, I guess. On the weekly wrap, there's a frog in my throat. Yeah, we were talking about condiments. I saw apparently Bob Surratt, for some reason, had the original Portillo on.
Dick Portillo?
And what I forgot his first name.
Dick.
Dick Portillo. And this spurred on some talk in Twitterdom about the Chicago hot dog, which, it's a little bit tiresome to me. But there's also an opinion about Portillo's now because they sold to venture capitalists, and a lot of people are complaining about their beef sandwiches or whatever. I got to tell you, we order from Portillo's, and my palate is just not as refined as some of these fast food connoisseurs. I haven't noticed the difference. Have you noticed a difference in Portillo's?
Well, Bruce, much like the Voting Rights Act and being a lawyer, I worked at a Portillo, so I can bring when I was
hold on. I know so little about you. Did you say you did work at one?
When I was a teenager, I worked at
when you were a teenager.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Tell me about it.
And so I have pretty decent knowledge. And I will say this about when Mr. Portillo owned Portillo's, and when I worked there was probably only a dozen of them. But the fear of the
did he give you stock options?
No. The fear of the management had that he would stop in at any time, and if it was not perfect and immaculate, someone was getting chewed out or fired. The place had to be perfect. Every sandwich had to be the right size. It had to look perfect. He would come in and just drop in or go through the drive-through and get something all the time. He was like a one-man quality control. And so I will say that what a venture they're out to make money. So what are they going to do? They're going to change the size of the sandwich. They're going to shrink the bread a little bit, put a little less meat in a beef sandwich. That's what I think is happening. Quality is still decent.
Right. I mean, it's going to be what happens like, when the Tribune got bought. Now, the reason those things happen, I mean, you can't say that venture capitalism per se is bad. As a matter of fact, it's great. It's important. I mean, thank God for the Mitt Romneys of the world who throw people out onto the street. But I mean, that's just Schumpeter's law, I guess. So creative destruction. But yeah, you're probably going to lessen the quality in some areas, like you did with the Tribune when they were bought by Alden Capital. And now you've got the venture capitalists who want to maximize profits. But, if you take it too far, you're going to wreck the franchise. So, I mean, there might be something to this. I'm just amazed that people can tell the difference because I'm just not that good. So you can speak from experience, but you don't partake of Portillo's anymore. Were you Portillo'd out because you had too many sandwiches?
You did get free lunch when you worked there.
So that's it.
Yeah, but no, I still think it's decent quality, and there's a distinct taste that it has, and I still crave it every now and again. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Speaking of food, so remember this was a big deal like a week or so ago when somebody in the New York Times, whatever, was admitting to micro looting Whole Foods. Okay. to get the man. And it just dawned on me that, I mean, we always talk about the left eating their own, and this is the left, like literally eating their own food, because Whole Foods is always trying to be on the right side, environmentally conscious, very liberal. And now you got people who want to take it to Whole Foods because they've made it. And so what's the common denominator on all this? Nobody likes anybody who makes a buck. Okay. So, I mean, you can, believe in all the liberal shibboleths, but if you actually are a beneficiary of the capitalist system, you're going to get nailed by your fellow liberals. I mean, so that's what happened in with the Whole Foods deal. And then, of course, the de facto or maybe actual doxing by Mamdani of Ken Griffin. Where's Ken Griffin going to run to? He left Chicago, went to Florida, from Chicago. But now New York, he was going to throw billions into New York. And I don't know. I think that cooled down a little bit. I think Mamdani tried to walk it back a little bit. But basically, he ran an ad and he was pointing out where Ken Griffin lives and saying, we're going to soak the rich. And it's a very seductive thing. I mean, it's worked for Bernie Sanders for decades. And it all boils down to envy. I mean, liberalism is all about envy. And of course, they get caught in a trap when they're wealthy, and many of them are, and they wind up being envied for their wealth and saying, no.
Well, somebody outed that woman on the podcast that was doing the micro looting and showed her, showed people where she lived, and she lives like in a $1.2 million house, and she's stealing things at Whole Foods.
Yeah. Well, speaking of rich people that we don't really have to like, so Lisa Kudrow, always liked on.
I thought you were going to go to Jason Benetti, but okay.
Oh, we'll go to him. We'll go to him next.
We'll
go to him next. Lisa Kudrow, who, I mean, what was the? It was she sang a song about a cat that was really awful on Friends, but it was hysterical. So she was talk about a beneficiary. I mean, that show lasted, I think, like 11 seasons. She started out making $500,000 a year, which was great to start with. Finished making $24 million a year, and now she's $24 million a year, and now she's biting the hand that feeds her because she's complaining that the writers had dirty minds. You can imagine these guys sitting there in a room, and they were fantasizing about the stars of the show, and I guess she views that as more than a microaggression. But it's hard to sympathize with her because those are the guys who actually made her wealthy. It's just a
I have not
fascinating.
seen one episode of Friends ever.
You never watched the show?
No.
To me, it was. I mean, did you like Seinfeld?
Yeah, I've seen every episode.
Okay, so I mean, to me, it was like I found it revolting at first after Seinfeld because it was one-upping Seinfeld, and what's interesting is the show. She's complaining about these masturbatory fantasies that the writers had. The whole show was about every member in the cast stooping every other member, well, men doing women. And by the way, that's a Yiddish term for making love. And so that's what the show was about. But apparently she didn't like that these guys actually had dirty minds to begin with. I mean, the show was filthy compared to Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a more antiseptic filth. You were the master of your domain.
Mulva.
There were euphemisms. I'm sorry.
Mulva.
Exactly. But anyway, still like Lisa Kudrow. I don't know why somebody said she must be writing a book. And why she needs to write one, who the heck knows? But now I'm trying to remember.
She's not getting $24 million a year anymore. Is why she'd be writing the book.
Well, who cares? I mean, you already haven't made. All right, we got to get to this. you'll be upset, and so will I. I just wanted to point out, for some reason, they were singing the praises of Jason Benetti, and I know how much you don't like him. And have we talked about this before? How Jason Benetti, as independent as he sounds, and the cool with it guy, could be just as much a shill as anybody else. Did we talk about how he handled Disco Demolition, the 40th anniversary, when it was at Sox Park? Did we ever mention that?
No.
Okay. So according to my reliable sources, back then, this is in 2019, it's the 40th anniversary, right? And Steve Dahl got to throw out the first pitch. He was one of two people. There was like this Polish dance group or whatever that got to throw out another first pitch. But he got to do that, and they also brought a bunch of listeners with them to his podcast. And I think it was like 400 or something like it, which is, it's a lot of people. And so they were there, and there was not, to my understanding, not one mention of it being the 40th anniversary of Disco Demolition and Steve Dahl throwing out the first pitch. Not one mention on the broadcast, even though the Sox were somewhat celebrating it. They'd invited him there, but you know why they downplayed the whole thing?
No.
Because somebody had complained that it was anti-gay.
Oh, yes. There was that.
Right. Which,
special...
I mean, we don't have to get into that issue, but I mean, Steve has, fought against it. And
on the PBS
in
special
any event,
on it.
There was, I mean, that has been litigated a number of times. I just thought it was amazing. And I just bring it up because, here's Jason Benetti. And somebody, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody told him and Steve Stone, don't mention this. Don't bring it up. And
that was because Roger Bossard still hates it. He talks about
Roger Bossard.
Had to redo the field, and they blew a big hole.
I don't think they cared about Roger Bossard. I think they were worried. They were trying to walk the fine line between embracing something and denying that it exists. And that's what happened. But it's just shows to go you. Everybody's got a price. Everybody will shut up when they have to. There's the sheriff in Justified, Timothy Oliphant. Is that who it was? He said, even the boss has a boss. Oh yeah. And on that note, we're going to be back next week with HVAC Talk.
Tim will be back, yes.
Bruce Wolf, sans Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.